Do I get credits? I do get credits. Awesome, we did it. All right, cool. So first things first, the bottom center of the screen says that we've beaten 112 games in 2023 and 434 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are now out of date. We've now beaten 113 games in 2023 and 435 since we started doing this in 2020. All right, yeah. So I have some thoughts on this game. I want to say first and foremost that Gears of War games are always fun. They're always enjoyable to play through with so far no exception. I've played 1, 2, 3 in Judgment now, and they've all been fun. I don't think any of them after the first one have been like a blast. I think the first one was a blast. I don't think anything has been that fun since, but they've all been fun. My thoughts on Gears of War as a franchise has been that the first one was amazing, the second one was great, but not as good, and the third one was good, but not great. I thought they kind of got worse and worse. Not for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was more of the same. And number two, I think that the levels weren't as creative, and it lost the horror bend that it had in the first game, and the story just kind of wouldn't grab me after the first one, you know? The initial setup is so cool, nothing can really top that. I think this one is interesting because it's obviously an offshoot, it's obviously a spin-off, it doesn't follow Phoenix. You know, it's some recognizable people that I know from the other games, but Phoenix is not in it, and so it's got a little bit of a different flavor right out the gate just because of that. I think here's the general idea. These, like I said before, these games are always fun, and this one's no exception. But to me, they really don't do anything to like go above and beyond and really be addictive or really be amazing. It's very straightforward. There's no RPG elements at all. You can't upgrade your weapons or your character or get new abilities or skill trees. There's none of that. Even these days, even back then in 2013 when this came out 10 years ago, almost every game, even if it is a straight shooter, has something like that. You know, you can upgrade some. Even Doom in 2016 has stuff you can upgrade, right? And you don't have to have that in a shooter. You really don't. But if you don't, you've got to make some crazy set pieces in order to really sell the shooter just for a shooter. Because that's all it is throughout the whole game. Is you're using the same weapons, you're shooting the same enemies. So the only thing that's really going to change is like where you are and what you have to do, you know, and that it never really goes anywhere. And that's true of this game, and also I thought 2 and 3. 1 felt a little bit more dynamic to me. There were like certain levels that were very different from others, and like this one's like really crazy, you're shooting everything, and then the next one's a lot quieter, and there's only 1 or 2 things popping out at a time. That first game had that. Every other Gears of War game, to me, since has not. It's really just shoot everything in the room. Everything's coming at you at once, and you've got your weapons, and that's all it is. And so it's impossible for that not to get a little bit old. I will say though that I think this one did a little bit better job of mixing it up than 3 did. And I'll tell you why. 3 was, to me, the epitome of what Gears of War is at its worst, which still isn't bad. It's still good, but it's just one level after another of wave after wave of bad guys, you know, and you're just shooting the bad guys until they die. I've liked this one because of the mission structure. I thought the little bite-sized 5 to 10, maybe 15-minute missions within multiple acts, I thought that was a really nice way to break it up a little bit give it some dynamic, where it's not just shoot, and and then the credits. I thought that was a really nice way to to bookend the game, and it kept it from getting too much of a slog, So even though they didn't really mix it up much when it came to different kinds of levels, different kinds of enemies, just the fact that they had missions that were short, really short missions. It's basically like a one-room thing. I thought that was a nice addition to the formula. I also thought that the horde levels were fun, where you have to set up for the horde waves of enemies. That was a nice change of pace, and I thought that was an interesting wrinkle. Really, at the end of the day, I think Gears of War could do a lot more to mix up the formula and keep it fresh. Like that. Things like the mission structure and the waves, the horde waves, and stuff like that. But do more like that. Make it more than just shooting every hand on the trigger the whole time. Make it more than that, And, I haven't played anything after Judgment. I'm going to play 4 after this, and then 5, and then Tactics. And, I know Tactics is going to be different, but maybe they do that in 4 and 5. Maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't read any of the complaints about this game, but, about the series, but that's my complaint. It's so pedal to the metal the whole time. There's no RPG elements or anything like that to liven it up, and there's no real taking your foot off the gas. The only exception to that is in this game, well, the first game, like we've said, and then in this game with the missions, little bite-sized thing. I like that, but I still think that there's an inherent flaw with how they're attacking these Gears of War games up to this point. So I'm curious to know if the later games they'll address that. Overall, though, it's a very easy game to play. It's especially on normal. It's very simple. They don't bother with skill trees. They don't bother with puzzles in the environments. It's really just keep walking forward and keep killing everything you see. And so and that's fun, and it's not a hard game to understand or play. It's very easy to autopilot this game. But because of that, it also lacks a little bit of flavor. Because you don't really have to think, and it never really throws you any curveballs, not really. So I think that's the inherent flaw, so far. But still, I've had a good time with it, and I'm curious to see with the next generation, now that this is technically, according to the way that I handle my games, anything 2013 or earlier, and this is 2013, is a retro game based on the way I look at it. So the next game is a full-on PS4 or I guess Xbox One game. So I'll be curious, and I think it's 3 years later, 2016 or something, Gears 4. So it'll be a different game, at least a little bit, and I'm hoping that they mix it up some, because it's grown a little bit stale. But I do think I liked this more than 3, but I don't think I liked it quite as much as 2. I'll have to think about it, but I definitely didn't like it as much as 1, and I definitely liked it more than 3. So we'll see. But I did enjoy it. I did have fun with it. I'm glad that I finally got around to playing another Gears of War game. It's been so long. It's been over a year since I played a Gears of War game, so it will not be another year before I play Gears 4. All right, last order of business. Gears of War Judgment. It's been fun. Thank you for allowing us to play you. But we are now going to uninstall you from our Xbox and never play you again. Bye! Bye! Oh, it's gone already. Okay. See ya.